October 13th at our 3 p.m. regular session. I'll ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Mayor Briggs,
Here.
Councilwoman McKenzie.
Here.
Councilman Estes.
Here.
Councilman Cassidy.
Here.
Councilman May.
Here.
Councilman Hughes.
Here.
Councilman Webb.
Here.
Vice Mayor Johnson.
Here.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. As is our tradition, we will begin with prayer and pledge. After we say the pledge, Vice Mayor will give us an invocation. If we could please also have a moment of silence. A dear friend of our family and the Church of God, Bishop W.C. Ratchford, I've just been informed, passed away this morning. And so if we could remember the Ratchford extended family, they mean a lot to a lot of us here in Cleveland. And we'll rise for the pledge and then the invocation by the Vice Mayor. Salute and pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Vice Mayor.
That's great. Father, we thank thee once again, Lord, for the opportunity to serve our community. And we just pray for your guidance and pray for your wisdom. And we pray, Lord, that everything that we do and say will be acceptable and pleasing in thy sight. We just thank you, dear Heavenly Father, for watching over our city, Lord, and for all that you do, both lessons seen and unseen. And we just pray now, Father, as we go into our agenda, that you'll be with us and guide us. And continue to bless our schools and our police and first responders, dear God, and the fire department, and just keep us all safe. And we realize that there are a lot of things going on in our world that needs to come together. And we thank you, Father, for the fact that in Cleveland, Tennessee, we have had opportunities to come together. And we just pray your blessings over all that we do and say. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you, Vice Mayor, for that invocation, and thank you all for remembering the Ratchford family. And I would be remiss for not acknowledging and thanking all of our colleagues on the council as well as in the audience that are veterans. We celebrated Veterans Day this past weekend, and even though the ceremony was moved inside, it was still well attended, and thankful for all the city employees who were prepared for the outside ceremony, Public Works and the police and other individuals who made preparations, but those were canceled by the rain. But our support of veterans was not canceled by the rain. That's something that is not debatable, as we say here on the council. So thank you for that support. Takes us to the next item on the agenda, which is to waive the reading of the minutes from our last regular session, October 23rd. That does require a motion from the council.
Mr. Mayor, I move that the City Council of the City of Cleveland waive the reading of the minutes of the regular session the City Council held on October the 23rd and approve them as written.
Second.
It's a proper motion by Vice Mayor Johnson, properly seconded by Councilman May. Without objection, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Johnson.
Aye.
Councilman May.
Aye.
Councilman Hughes.
Aye.
Councilman Webb.
Aye.
Councilwoman McKenzie. Councilman Estes. Councilman Cassidy.
Aye.
Carries 7-0.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. That motion passes. Takes us to item number 5 on the agenda, which is special presentations and public comments. There are no presentations listed formally or requested from the council. Is there anyone who wishes to address the council on any matter? Now is the time for public comments. Seeing none and hearing none, we will go to item number 6, which is hearing petitions and communications. Item 6A is a public hearing to request, concerning request by Big Buck Construction for consideration of an ordinance to zone .52 acres. It's a property located on King Street from commercial highway commercial zoning to R2 low-density single and multifamily zoning. It was approved by the Planning Commission 7-0. Mr. Varnell, we'll look forward to hearing your comments. I'll now declare this public hearing to be open.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. This is a .52 acres, as you stated, on King Street, which is off of the bypass, sort of in the vicinity of Bojangles and that area. down off of Dalton Pike. This, request here is for future townhome development. It's a small little area, but that is their intention. I think there may be one other piece that will come along after this, but at this point, this is all the request. Happy to
Thank you,
answer
Mr. Any questions from the council? Thank you, Mr. Varnell. Anyone like to speak in favor of this request? Please indicate. Seeing none, anyone who would like to speak in opposition to this request, please indicate. And seeing none, we will declare this public hearing to be closed. Item B is a public hearing to hear a request from Joan Darnell to zone .52 acres, more or less, located at Old Chattanooga Pike from IL Light Industrial to R2, low-density single and multifamily zoning. Likewise, this was approved by the Planning Commission 7-0. I'll now declare this public hearing to be open. Mr. Varnell, we'll hear your comments.
Yes, sir, thank you. As I stated at the 1 o'clock meeting, this is, there are existing homes on this property. It's zoned industrial, as we see in many parts of the city where it didn't necessarily, it was more of a planning-related zoning for future development. But in this case, we have an estate, and they need it to be residential because that's what they actually use it for, existing homes. Not new homes. These homes have been there for a fairly significant amount of time, so they're just hoping to get it zoned correctly so they can move forward with their estate.
Thank you, Mr. Varnell. Would anyone like to speak in favor of this request? Seeing none, would anyone like to speak in opposition to this request? And like sign, seeing no one, we will declare this public hearing to be closed. Item C is to hear public comments concerning a request by Dwayne Goff for consideration of a plan of service and a resolution to annex and an ordinance to zone 1.33 acres of property located on Tennessee Nursery Road from unincorporated county to R1 Single Family Residential. This was also approved by the Planning Commission 7-0. I'll declare the public hearing to be open. Mr. Varnell, your comments?
Yes, sir, thank you. This is 2 parcels on Tennessee Nursery Road. This public hearing is for the annexation, the plan of service, as well as the zoning. So I want to make that clear if you have any thoughts or comments on any of those. The zoning is R1. That is the expected long-term use, single-family homes. It's just that they're looking to add on some city services at that location that they don't presently have. So there are specific questions. I'm happy to answer those, but that's kind of the gist of this one.
Any questions from the council? Seeing none, anyone, thank you, Mr. Varnell. Anyone like to speak in favor of this request to the council? Please signify. Seeing none, anyone like to speak in opposition to this request? And seeing none, like sign, we will declare this public hearing to be closed. Item D is a public hearing to hear comments concerning a request by Bancroft Development Company for consideration of a plan of service, a resolution to annex, and an ordinance to zone 2.16 acres of property located at Georgetown Road from unincorporated county to CH Commercial Highway. The Planning Commission approved this 7-0. I'll declare this public hearing to be open, and Mr. Varnell will hear your opening comments.
Yes, sir, thank you. This annexation is, it's zoned C2, I believe, in the county. It's a commercial piece of property along the new widened section of Highway 60, Georgetown Road. This public hearing would be for the annexation, the plan of service, as well as the zoning to highway commercial, which kind of mirrors what they're looking to do. No future residential uses at this location. There will be a commercial use at some point in the future, though there's no definitive plan at this point. But the annexation, they want to get underway. Happy to answer any specific questions on that if there are any.
Great. Any questions from the council for Mr. Varnell? Seeing none, thank you, Mr. Varnell. Would anyone like to speak in favor of this request, please indicate at this time. Seeing none, if anyone would like to speak in opposition to this request on Georgetown Road, and like sign, seeing none, we will declare this public hearing to be closed. Takes us to item number 7 on the agenda, which is the consent agenda. This was previewed by City Manager Joe Fivas at our 1 o'clock. It does require a motion from the council.
So moved. Second.
It's a proper motion by Councilman May, properly seconded by Councilman Estes. Any comments, questions from the council? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman May,
Aye.
Councilman Estes,
Aye.
Councilman Hughes,
Aye.
Councilman Webb,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Johnson,
Aye.
Councilwoman McKenzie, Councilman Cassidy.
Aye.
Carries 7-0.
Mayor, see if there's anybody in the audience that wants to speak before us.
All right, takes us to item number 8, which is unfinished business. Thank you, Ms. Brandon. My 3 favorite words, we have none. Takes us to item 9, which is reports from council members. I have a request from Councilman May.
Don, did you want to say something before us?
Next meeting. Next meeting.
Next meeting?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Certainly. Thank you, Councilman. We begin with reports from council members. The Councilman Hughes.
I'm fine.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Webb.
2 items, Mayor. And I will admit, on the front end, I've been somewhat frustrated of late with our ability to address some codes issues. And I just want to ask today, is there anything as a council that we need to do that would strengthen our ordinances or revise those ordinances that might cut down on the time involved in addressing some codes issues and addressing those in a more effective manner? John, I don't know if this is your question, Joe, but it's been rather frustrating recently because of some issues that we have encountered with not only some code violations, but some safety violations at some areas. I know I've been working on one, and Councilman May has been working on the same one. And hopefully we have something that's going to resolve that now. But I just want to be sure there's not something that we could do that we could take care of some of these issues in a quicker way than we are.
Councilman Webb, if you don't mind, Councilman May would like to follow up.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I guess I have a similar problem. And I don't know if it's communications that we're not getting back. Sometimes in these meetings, we vote, we think things are going to happen, and we think it's something that's going to be taken care of. And then at a later date, we find out that some way it slipped through the cracks. And I don't know if it's communications that we're not getting back, if it's my fault that I'm not staying on top of it. You know, I don't know what it is, but I feel like we've got probably a weak spot that we need to work on.
And you know, I know we're required to follow what's in the Tennessee Code on those things, but is there something that we need to lobby the state legislature to change that would free our hands up some to deal with some issues? I don't know, I'm just asking.
We'll have Jonathan and Robert give a report at the next meeting
Okay,
on if there's any suggested changes.
okay, that'd be great. That would be good.
And Joe, while you're at it, maybe you need to get codes to kindly do a presentation on, I guess, the system that we work within. You know, if they go out, they check, how many days they give them, if they do not comply, what do we come back with? Do we send them a citation? Do we fine them? How much we can fine them? If you would, in that presentation,
I think
please.
that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay, good. The other thing, Mayor, Joe, Sean, I wake up at night some nights thinking about this, and I'd really like to have the assurance that I don't need to be waking up. But I know that, and we've talked about this before, I want to be sure that we're not running into any arbitrage issues with our bond issue or timing issues on our COVID money. Are you comfortable with where we are?
Code money, yeah, I mean, we've got a deadline for that money to be committed and spent, and that deadline has been communicated. So I feel like we're moving forward with Cherokee, as long as we can get it occupied by December 31st of 2026.
Okay. How about the bond proceeds?
Bond proceeds, probably need to take a look at the spend down on the bond proceeds, just to be sure that, again, that time frame has been communicated. Just what the spend down needs to be.
So we sure don't want to get in a situation where we're dealing with arbitrage or a time problem with the COVID money.
No. No, COVID money should be fine.
Could y'all take another look at it and just give me some assurance that we're okay there?
Sure.
Thank you. That's it, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Vice Mayor Johnson.
Yes, sir, Mayor. Mr. Henry was speaking to us between meetings, and he brought up an issue that, to me, is really important because it's a safety issue. And I would like for us to go ahead and look at that issue and see what we can do about it. And it's about East Inman Street, and it's where the 4 lanes from Ocoee come together to 2 lanes on Inman Street. There's a housing projects and a whole lot of them on the right-hand side of coming toward town from Inman Street. And then there's a service station over on the right-hand side, but it all comes into 2 lanes. And I have actually come over that hill and seen kids standing halfway, going back to the projects in the middle of the street. And traffic's running this way and traffic's coming both ways. And so Don mentioned that, is there something we can do to make that area a little bit safer? Maybe signs or whatever it takes, you know. And I think that issue is just too important, if that's what you wanted to say to next week, but we need to address it today. Because it's a safety issue, and I would hate to see somebody get hurt there when we could done something about it too. And it really does need to be, there needs to be something done to slow traffic down, you know.
Put a flashing like it late.
I just want to
Flashing
make sure
like
that
it
we
late.
address
Could.
that somehow or another.
Yeah. Donald, didn't you say that 2 people had been
2
actually,
people have been hit and the cars kept going. We left them in the ditch. I took one of them to the hospital about 2 months ago, walking down the street. And as people comes off that hill from North Carolina, coming west, 75, 80 miles out, all the way down to East Street. And another concern I got, and I think it should, as sitting here at this meeting, I hear a lot of stuff going on this way. Let's try to put some of that money back east. Coming into, from North Carolina, 64, Ocoee, it's an embarrassment. A city this size. And you gotta come in here and see all that. If you can beautify 25th Street or whatever, let's try to make this beautiful so you can come into our beautiful town, as we say.
And
That's all I can say.
mostly make it safe.
Yep, make it safe.
A lot of people walking in that area.
The cars do come fast. I mean, if y'all really go, I mean, no kidding. I pull out of my driveway off the hill, and I'm gonna tell you something, I don't pull out real fast, and that's a bad habit. When I look, they right up against me, because they run 65 and 70, all the way down to East Street. That's when they started slowing down. So somebody's gonna get killed.
Donald, you're talking about sidewalks, but do you think if we had some kind of caution lights or something that,
Really, I'm afraid some kids going to get, because a lot of kids walk to the store. The Pilot gas station used to be a Pilot, that's still a
Yeah,
gas station. But them kids gotta walk to the store, there's no sidewalk. And they coming up Inman Street walking, it's nowhere to go, I mean, except for the ditch. And I think we need some sidewalks and some signs, and maybe put some patrol, you know, police out there, because they do, I mean, if you go look, everybody's running 65 and 70 down through it.
Mr. Fivas, I think at 1 o'clock, you mentioned that sidewalks would extend all the way up Inman to at least East Street. So we do know that new sidewalks are coming for at least a portion of that, Mr. Humes.
We need to go further than east. we need them there too, but you need them up, you need to come on up. Why stop at East? Let's come on up, and that way it'd be safe.
I think there might be a city limit issue as to where that is.
We can take a look at it.
yeah.
I mean, I think Mr. Humes is 100% correct, and we'll come back with a plan.
Thank you.
All right. Vice Mayor Johnson, anything further?
That's all.
Thank you. Councilwoman McKenzie. Thank you, madam. Councilman Estes?
No, sir.
Councilman Cassada?
No, sir.
Thank you, sir. Councilman May?
Yeah, I've got a couple things. Joe, I received an email over the weekend on Blueberry Hill. Now, that would be west of Ocoee Street. And I lived on that street back in the 80s. Lived in the subdivision a couple times. One of the problems that the lady brought up that sent me the email, which is correct, a lot of people, especially not from Cleveland, they think that road will take them over to Key Street. So they get to the top of the hill and they see they have to turn around, and then it's a straight road coming off that hill, and they run too fast. She's wanting to know if we could put a sign up on Ocoee Street and Blueberry Hill that says no through street.
No outlet, yeah.
Okay. Also, she wanted you to look at the first intersection to see if we can do a four-way stop. Now, I know the numbers won't call for a four-way stop, but we've done it in other intersections because of safety, and it's helped.
Intersection, but which intersection?
The what?
Which intersection?
You know what the subquarter.
Blueberry and Edgewood Circle.
Edgewood Circle is the intersection, Blueberry Hill,
It's inside the neighborhood.
inside the neighborhood, yeah. And also, Joe, we talked over the weekend about Julian Drive, that we had talked about putting a four-way stop. They're still having speeding problems, and I know the numbers probably won't call, but it's a safety factor to slow people down. And I'm hoping that possibly look at that. Also, received an email about the pickleball courts. They're wanting, people are wanting to see some dirt moving, Joe. Do we know any more on time frame? I don't know if Tommy's got there to clean it out, or,
Well, the issue right now is that they're waiting on the SWIP, is that the correct terminology? And once they have a SWIP, it'll start being graded. For some reason, it's taken a long time to get the permit from the state to begin moving dirt.
okay, do we have any estimate on the time?
They told me this morning that any day.
Any day? Okay, that's pretty quick, maybe. Any day. That's all I've got, Mayor.
The Julian Drive thing is that David Shealy, I don't know if he's here. He left. He had talked to the owners over there, that the owners have requested stop signs at Elm and Julian. Do you want us just to look at Julian?
Either one to slow them down. I don't know which is best, and I mean, we've got the people living over there, they know the traffic more than we do, probably. But it doesn't matter. If they think that will slow it down, if staff thinks that will slow it down,
Yeah,
that's fine.
Our perspective, and we'll let David give his recommendation, of course, is that intersection is being, they're cutting through, obviously, to get around the 25th Street intersection.
Exactly,
I think
yeah.
that drives the more traffic for a small intersection, that there's probably a safety concern.
Yeah.
We'll dig into that. And David's been working on it, trying to get a hold of the people, and Tommy and I talked this morning, and it's a priority to
Okay.
answer that.
And also, I mean, that's a cut through now off of Weeks Road. we've got all that new development on Weeks Road, and they cut through to get to 25th Street without going up and trying to get on Ocoee Street, which we don't have a traffic signal. So, but what kind of time frame we talking about on that, Joe? The end of the week? Okay, that's good. And Blueberry Hill, you think also, maybe by the end of the,
By Thanksgiving,
okay, any day,
anyway.
any day.
So,
Yeah.
the look at no outlet sign, and then the Edgewood Circle and Blueberry Hill intersection, look at the stop sign. Those are the two.
Okay, that's all I've got, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman. Mayor's got two quick additions to our local boards and committees. The resignation and departure of Dennis Epperson from the Tree Board requires that we fill that position before their next meeting. And we are appointing Clevelander Ray Garner Sr., who has served on other boards previously. Ray Garner Sr. for the Tree Board, and the mayor's proxy vote on the Greenway Board has been graciously accepted by Councilwoman Marcia McKenzie, and their first meeting is Thursday. So we're very thankful for your continued service to our city, and now on the Greenway Board as the mayor's proxy. Thank you. And that,
I've got somebody opposing me over there.
Yeah.
Mr. Fivas, yes, sir.
Wanted to give an update on the land bank appointments. As far as I know, we have not received authorization from the state because the word bank is in the title. And what's the explanation? It's fascinating.
You cannot form a corporation or LLC in Tennessee with the word bank in it without a waiver from the Tennessee Board of Financial Institutions. And they only meet like once a month, and so they have to write a letter to the Secretary of State saying, we don't object to the land bank having the word bank. Wow. And just email them last week, and we're waiting on that. So don't form a business with a bank,
Wow.
unless it's a bank.
And you can take that to the bank.
Take that to the bank.
Councilman Hughes, you had a
I
request?
do. I was going to wait on this, but I will bring it up, and council's going to be thinking about it and need some advice from our counselor also. I received a call from our county director of schools, and she is concerned about the vaping at the middle school and the high school. So-
Mr. Fivers called me about this. I looked at the code, in-state code under tobacco products as well as these other products. The state preempts all that. So it's heavily regulated by the state. But as far as your ability to really do anything about it, other than what's in state law, you don't have.
The state legislator specifically said that you cannot.
That's right. The General Assembly basically preempted all local regulation of tobacco products as well as those types of products.
Is that the same issue we ran into about trying to prohibit smoking in parks and playgrounds?
Exact same statute. Yeah.
Okay,
But-
so we
but
have.
There are all kinds of laws on the books. If there are problems, excuse me, if she's having issues, what she needs to do is get with law enforcement. There are all kinds of laws on the books that can be used if there's a problem. It is an offense for anyone under 21 to possess those products, okay? First of all, they shouldn't have them in school or otherwise. Secondly, it's an offense, state law, to provide those to a minor, obviously. And then, so, I don't know what the issue is that she was concerned about. Obviously, it's probably access to minors, but there are mechanisms on state code that deal with those issues if it's a problem.
Well, let me just say this.
And let me go further. The Department of Agriculture has, just like the Alcohol Beverage Commission, Department of Agriculture has people that will investigate the places that sell them if they think there's a concern about them selling them to minors. Okay? Same way the ADC investigates places that sell alcohol.
Okay, well, thank you for checking that
And
out.
I can get you a copy of that code section if you want.
Yeah. I did call the city superintendent, the city director, and he also verified they're having a lot of problems with vaping at school, middle school and high school. But he also mentioned a pen called DAB, D-A-B. I was not familiar with DAB. Anybody on the council familiar with DAB?
Little dabadoo.
No, the dab it on there.
Take yourself time.
Okay. And if they use DAB, it comes in a pen, if they use DAB, they're expelled for the year from school. Now, vaping is treated like smoking in schools. They get, 5 days suspension. David Dowdy used to give people 5 days just about every other day at Bradley High School. But the pen, you're expelled for the year. So I asked the question, where do you get the pen? Can you get the pen at any of these places where you get vape? I don't know. I asked Dr. Dyer that, and he said he didn't
What
know.
is DAB?
And what did you say?
David?
I'm asking you. You're the only one that knows.
Well, they presented it to us at the ATS, the bridge, that it is a new way that children are accessing substances.
Yeah.
Um,
So is it tobacco? or-
It is not, it's like CBD, touch it to you.
Huh?
So,
I didn't know.
Well, I'm glad you checked it out, Counselor,
Yeah,
and
just for reference, it's Tennessee Code Annotated 39-17-15-51, and it just says preemption of the field of legislation concerning regulation of tobacco products, smokeless nicotine products, and vapor products. There are a few exceptions, but not to do what they would want to do. Now, they get, the state general assembly can change the law. If they think they need some more tools, they could always go to state representatives and ask them to do that. But generally speaking, when the general assembly's done that on a statewide basis, that's hard to get them to change that. And it's heavily regulated. There are all kinds of laws on the books. For instance, it's an offense for a person under 21 to possess it. Anyway, including school grounds. I didn't know how they treat it as a disciplinary item, that's not my area, but it is a juvenile offense. So if they have somebody come into school and maybe share it with their friends, maybe they need to step up the enforcement mechanism in the juvenile system, if that's what's going on. Somebody's buying it for them, perhaps they're getting it, from another adult, who knows? Is this being distributed at school, or is this just kids showing up? What's the issue?
well, the issue is it's very easy to get. That's the issue.
Well,
And every place has it.
it's easy.
Many markets have
It's
it.
no easier nor harder than cigarettes, right? A minor obviously cannot buy those legally. So if they think there's a place that's selling it, they reach out to the investigators in the department and have them do an investigation of whatever place they think is doing that, if that's what they're alleging. I don't know what the facts are. I just looked up, because I knew there was a preemption issue.
Right.
Chief Gibson, do you have any follow-up from local law enforcement?
We have SROs in every school, and ATS Parades and other programs have strong programs on vaping and education programs. Also, a lot of times the schools, instead of involving law enforcement, going through the criminal justice program, now went through disciplinary action through their school policies. So we don't always get alerted or told when they're finding vape and those types of things. The problem with that is our THC, our CBD type, so that's why they're regulated a little bit more. But as far as the punishment, but most of the time, the schools opt to handle the situation themselves and turn it into discipline before they involve law enforcement into possession of these items. And we do work on occasions with trying to identify stores that may be selling to minors. but it's normally not the stores, it's usually online sales. So that's the part that's difficult to regulate is, purchases online, and, that's probably where a majority of your minors are getting all of these products. So, it's an ongoing problem, but it's no different from the same problems you've had for years with alcohol and, other tobacco products like, dip, chewing tobacco and cigarettes, so, so it's kind of, we got us all in school, and we're constantly working with them. We have, they've installed even halo systems that detect this, vape, if someone's vaping in a restroom, that type of thing, so there's some controversy on who responds to that, and which side of the schools need to respond to those, and handle it through their disciplinary process.
Thanks,
Can the
Chief.
pin be bought, the DAB pin be bought at the mini stores, the gas station, and the mini markets?
CBD stores, yes. Supposed to be regulated in the levels of THC, but, that's done through the Department of Agriculture, and I'll just leave it at that.
Okay.
As far as opinion.
That's all, Mayor.
Thanks, Councilman. All right. All hearts and minds clear? That takes us to item number 10 on the agenda, which is new business and ordinances. Item 10A is a zoning ordinance 2023-53, zoning .52 acres, located at King Street from CH Commercial Highway to R2 low-density single and multifamily zoning. This was discussed earlier and was approved by the Planning Commission 7-0. It does require a motion from the council.
So, second.
It's a proper motion by Councilwoman McKenzie. It's properly seconded by Councilman May. Without objection, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilwoman McKenzie. Councilman May.
Aye.
Councilman Hughes.
Aye.
Councilman Webb.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Johnson.
Aye.
Councilman Estes.
Aye.
Councilman Cassidy.
Aye.
It carries 7-0.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. That motion passes. Takes us to item B, zoning ordinance 2023-54, zoning .52 acres, located at Old Chattanooga Pike from IL Light Industrial to R2 Low Density Single and Multifamily Zoning. It was approved by the Planning Commission 7-0 and does require a motion from the council.
That motion, Mayor.
Second.
It's a proper motion by Councilwoman McKenzie, properly seconded by Councilman Hughes. Any comments or questions from the council? Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilwoman McKenzie.
Aye.
Councilman Hughes.
Aye.
Councilman Webb.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Johnson.
Aye.
Councilman Estes.
Aye.
Councilman Cassidy.
Aye.
Councilman May.
Aye.
It carries 7-0.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. That motion passes. Item C, Resolution 2023-112, concerning a request by Dwayne Goff for consideration of a plan of service for 1.33 acres, property located on Tennessee Nursery Road, approved by the Planning Commission 7-0. Does require a motion from the council.
So moved.
Proper motion by Councilman Hughes. Is there a second?
Second.
Properly seconded by Councilman May. Without objection, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Hughes.
Aye.
Councilman May.
Aye.
Councilman Webb.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Johnson.
Aye.
Councilwoman McKenzie. Councilman Estes.
Aye.
Councilman Cassidy.
Aye.
It carries 7-0.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Item D, Resolution 2023-113, concerning a request by Dwayne Goff for consideration of a resolution to annex 1.33 acres of property located at Tennessee Nursery Road, approved by the Planning Commission 7-0, and this requires a motion from the council.
So moved.
Proper motion by Vice Mayor Avery Johnson,
Second.
proper seconded by Councilman Estes. Without objection, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Vice Mayor Johnson.
Aye.
Councilman Estes. Councilman Hughes.
Aye.
Councilman Webb.
Aye.
Councilwoman McKenzie. Councilman Cassidy.
Aye.
Councilman May.
Aye.
It carries 7-0.
Thanks, Mr. Clerk. That motion passes. Item E, zoning ordinance 2023-55, zoning 1.33 acres of property located at Tennessee Nursery Road from unincorporated county to R1 single family. Approved by the Planning Commission 7-0 and does require a motion from the
So
council.
moved.
Proper motion by
Second.
Councilman Hughes, properly seconded by Councilman May. Without objection, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Hughes.
Aye.
Councilman May.
Aye.
Councilman Webb.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Johnson.
Aye.
Councilwoman McKenzie.
Aye.
Councilman Estes.
Aye.
Councilman Cassidy.
Aye.
Carries 7-0.
Thanks, Mr. Clerk. That motion passes. Item F, Resolution 2023-114, concerning request by Bancroft Development for consideration of a plan of service for 2.16 acres of property located on Georgetown Road, approved by the Planning Commission 7-0, does require a motion from the council.
So moved.
Second.
It's a proper motion by Councilman Webb, properly seconded by Councilman Cassada. Without objection, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Webb.
Aye.
Councilman Cassidy.
Aye.
Councilman Hughes.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Johnson.
Aye.
Councilwoman McKenzie. Councilman Estes.
Aye.
Councilman May.
Aye.
It carries 7-0.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. That motion passes. It takes us to item G, which is Resolution 2023-115, considering a request by Bancroft Development for consideration of a resolution to annex 2.16 more or less acres of property located at Georgetown Road, approved by the Planning Commission 7-0. It does require a motion from the council.
So moved.
All right, that's a proper motion by Councilman Estes, properly seconded by Tom Cassada. Without objection, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Estes.
Aye.
Councilman Cassidy.
Aye.
Councilman Hughes.
Aye.
Councilman Webb.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Johnson.
Aye.
Councilwoman McKenzie. Councilman May.
Aye.
Carries 7-0.
Thanks, Mr. Clerk. That resolution passes. Item H is a zoning ordinance 2023-56. It's zoning 2.16 acres of property located on Georgetown Road from unincorporated county to CH Commercial Highway, approved by the Planning Commission 7-0, and requires a motion from this council.
So moved.
It's a proper motion by Councilman May. Is there a second?
Second.
Properly second by Councilman Hughes. Without objection, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman May.
Aye.
Councilman Hughes.
Aye.
Councilman Webb.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Johnson.
Aye.
Councilwoman McKenzie. Councilman Estes. Councilman Cassidy.
Aye.
Carries 7-0.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. That motion passes. Next item is item I, which is Cherokee Chieftain discussion for preservation. The motion to add it to the agenda was made by Councilman Webb.
I have the motion, Mayor.
You're recognized.
I make a motion that staff take immediate action to preserve the Cherokee Chieftain and begin the process of determining the future vocation and preservation efforts of the statue, with a recommendation due back to the council by the first meeting in February of '24.
So moved.
It's a proper motion. Proper motion by Councilman Webb is properly seconded by Councilman May. Any other discussion from the council? Without objection, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Webb.
Aye.
Councilman May.
Aye.
Councilman Hughes.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Johnson. Councilwoman McKenzie. Councilman Estes. Councilman Cassidy.
Aye.
Carries 7-0.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. That motion passes. Takes us to item J, which is the next new item for business, also requested by Councilman Webb regarding the bidding of jobs.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that the staff develop criteria to determine which capital projects are of such necessity we use contractors as opposed to in-house personnel, considering all the variables involved.
That mainly cost, estimated cost.
Cost,
um,
time,
Time,
all the variables.
second. that
All right.
motion.
That is a proper motion by Councilman Webb, properly seconded by Councilman May. Any discussion, comments, or questions from the council? Seeing none.
No,
Councilman Estes?
I'm still mulling, thanks for the motion, I'm still mulling it. So the staff gives us the variables and we decide? The staff ranks
I
them
think,
and
I
then we
think,
decide?
I think the staff would tell us what variables are involved, and then we come up with some kind of decision as to which ones they would actually follow based on the larger projects.
Yeah, Mayor, may I speak?
Councilman May?
Bill, you remember when we voted to borrow the money at a very low rate, probably one of the best moves that this city council has made. And the reason that we borrowed money was to speed up some of the projects. We knew that Public Works was loaded down. Do you remember that? Is that a yes? Okay.
And, you know, Bill, one of the criteria they might develop is if it's a project over 50,000 or 100,000, then we have an opportunity to listen to their recommendation on whether Public Works does it or we bid it out and use a contractor.
I am not against this. I just want some clarification.
Oh,
So they bring us, if we hear in your motion, they're just bringing us the criteria. Are they gonna rank projects like by when? By quarter, monthly? Each
I'm not
project
sure.
standing on its own, what does it compete against? You know, the administration of this, if I'm sitting over there, it sounds like a nightmare. Is it annually at our annual retreat, budget retreat? Will
It
we
could-
rank for the year? I mean,
It could be project by project if it's a project over a certain amount.
yeah, I feel like we do that now. Every time that we have projects that we say yes, if it's a federal or a state, we know we have to do
Right.
X, Y, and Z. And we always know on some of them, right, that we have the option to do it in-house for quite a bit more, or, you know, what it costs us, like MPOs. It can be 90-10, it can be 80-20.
Right.
We do that now and set those priorities. I am not against this. I'm just trying to help staff here,
I know.
trying to make this better. And I was thinking about, talking about what's important.
yeah.
The Greenway sits on Phase 6 forever, waiting on a new state alternate transportation grant. That's something, you know. Central Avenue, we seem to all be in agreement now. We've been through a whole election cycle on this. I remember we promised the university when they finished off Parker, we would do this, right?
No, I didn't know that.
Well, we didn't but it was discussed with them.
Yeah, I thought-
Hey, yeah,
I
no, we're
thought we
doing
promised
Central all the way up,
that,
both sides of the street. So
I'm open to any fine tuning. I'm just trying to do something that will get some of our projects off dead center and get them done so the citizens can benefit from them.
could we get maybe a list of what those projects are, and then we could say, oh, let's pony up on this, let's
That's
pony up
fine.
on that.
That's
Maybe do it annually at our budget retreats, at our priorities of what's there. Because I understand, and Joe, Sean, I'm very sensitive to you guys getting the most for the citizens' money. You know, doing things, I get that. And how do you balance all the wants and desires we have and part of our short and long-term goals?
Well, it's a huge balancing act.
And I'd like to give them some direction here. You know, if I heard that, you know, that motion, I'm like, what do I do? You know,
Well-
and then what could,
And I guess my intent was to ask them to come back with how they best think we could make this decision.
That's good.
so the variables on ranking projects, but also a process of how it works within city
Right.
government.
You know, there may be some projects that we would like to use a contractor for that would actually take longer than it does for Public Works to do it because contractors are so busy.
David, this reminds me of the concrete crew discussion, Tommy hiring his own crew rather than us having a contract, you know.
It's
yearly
an age-old
contract or
problem.
2 year. Yeah, what do you do? Where do you save money on that?
I think we're trying to speed up things.
All it does is just will cost more money, right? And so at the end of the day, we know that.
At the end of the day,
Yeah.
we know that it would probably cost more money to have a
You're buying
contractor
time.
do it, but there's a time issue involved in getting some needed projects done.
All right, so we do have a proper motion by Webb, properly seconded by Councilman May.
Yeah.
We've had hearty discussion.
Oh, have we? Yeah. Well, I mean,
If it needs to be reworded, I can reword it.
no, I think it's worded, but, you know, we get grants, and, man, we're all thrilled. And from the time you get a grant to the time that you move dirt, sometimes.
17th Street and 20th Street sidewalks.
That's a prime example. Bill, I'm glad you brought that up. But, you know, any way that we can help Joe and staff and to move things on, hey, I'm for it.
All right.
Do we,
Councilman-
Mayor?
Yes, sir,
can I have,
Councilman.
Tommy, do we have contract with the concrete and asphalt both? Do we have contractors for that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Councilwoman McKenzie, did you have a question?
I was just gonna say, Did that include looking at it project for project, because every project can be
You know,
different.
I'm kind of looking at the staff to tell us what would work best for them in making this decision. I don't know what criteria we use now on whether we do it in-house or we use a
Okay,
contractor.
so exactly what were we asking for when we passed this? What were we asking for?
I'm asking for the staff to come back with a recommendation on how to best make the decision, whether it's funded or completed in-house or completed by a contractor.
So we're not passing it today, we're just asking for recommendation. That's all we're passing today, is asking for.
That was my intent. That may not be the way it's worded, but that was my intent.
Yeah.
All right.
Do you and the second, would you add in and the process of how it fits into the
Sure,
operation?
sure.
I'm
I
open.
think that's a given, yeah.
Yeah.
The process to see how it fits into government.
To how we just run, how we operate now. I mean, it's not just the variables on how we rank, but how's it gonna work? You know, we're gonna look at this quarterly, we're gonna look at it annually with our, I've enjoyed us setting our priorities and then Joe going out and funding these 25 projects, you know, that we see, right? You know, it's, okay, here's what we talked, we meet with the citizens, we've had the community meetings. What does everybody want? City staff comes to those, they listen. I mean, I think I think we've flourished the last few years going that route. And I think we've been responsive to the needs of the entire city, not just certain parts of it. So I don't want this to jeopardize that. I think
No,
within that
I
process.
don't think it would.
Yeah.
Actually, I think it might free us up to do some needed smaller projects in areas of the city that have needed
Man,
to
if
be
there are
done.
4 votes up here that spend money on something, then something else is gonna lose out. Like, we're gonna spend more to bid it out rather than do it in-house and do it in a short order of time. That's fine. I mean, I am perfectly fine with that. I just want us to know you're paying for time. Or we are paying for time.
I am the
not
last
you.
one in the world that would be happy about spending more money.
I'm the second person.
But, you know, sometimes things just become a necessity. And if there's a better way of getting it done, then we need to look at that and make a decision.
Mayor, I'm ready to vote.
All right, we have a proper motion, it's been properly seconded. Lots of discussion. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Webb,
Aye.
Councilman May,
Aye.
Councilman Hughes,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Johnson,
Aye.
Councilwoman McKenzie, Councilman Estes,
All right.
Councilman Cassidy.
Aye.
Carries 7-0.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. That motion passes. That concludes new business. Takes us to item 11, which is announcements. We have 2 city offices will be closed.
We got K, Mayor. We got K.
Sorry. There was a last-minute addition to new business, item K. The maker of that motion is Councilman Hughes. You're recognized.
Thank you, sir.
Israel.
Yes, sir. Since Cleveland and Bradley County are God-fearing people, and the word of the Lord in Numbers says, if you bless Israel, you will be blessed. I would like to make a motion to entertain the support of Israel in this time of conflict.
That is a proper motion by Councilman Hughes. It properly seconded by Councilwoman McKenzie. Is there any discussion from the council? Seeing none, Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilman Hughes,
Aye.
Councilwoman McKenzie, Councilman Webb,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Johnson,
Aye.
Councilman Estes,
Chris, if you put this in the minutes, please. I'm gonna vote for, specifically because of the declaration of the standards of Hamas and what they did 1 month, in the past month.
Councilman Cassidy,
Aye.
Councilman May.
Aye.
Carries 7-0.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. That motion passes. Thank you, Councilman. Please forgive me for
Quite all right.
not calling on that prior. Now it takes us to item number 11, which is announcements. There are 2 city offices will be closed Thursday, November 23, and Friday, November 24, due to the Thanksgiving holiday. The very next week, the city council meeting will be held Monday, November 27th, in this chamber. Takes us to item number 12, unless there are any additional comments or announcements from members of the council. Seeing none, we are adjourned.